There was a huge secret that Annette Funicello kept under wraps when filming the beach party flicks. The beach party star and renowned Mickey Mouse Club child actress became quite famous, particularly as a member of the acting team with Frankie Avalon. Annette discovered something horrifying about herself while filming her beach party movies. She kept this hidden from everyone, including her best friend and co-worker, because it was too scary to share. What was Annette's real situation in 1983? To find out, continue watching. American singer and actress Annette Funicello got her start in the business when she was just 12 years old. She came into this world in Utica, New York, to parents Joseph Edward Funicello and Virginia Jean on October 22, 1942. She and her family relocated to California when she was 4 years old. She had severe social anxiety as a kid. She was therefore enrolled in music and dance classes by her parents. By 1955, Walt Disney had seen her perform as Swan Lake's queen, so it appeared like she had an innate skill. This happened while she was performing a dance recital in California's Starlight Bowl. She was one of the rare cast members chosen by the illustrious Walt Disney himself. He cast her as an original Mouseketeer. "I have been fortunate to have a guru like Walt Disney," she would remark in an interview many years later. "I have never been happier as I was throughout those years. Back then, I sensed that. Feeling the same way today." Following this revelation, she inked a 7-year deal with Disney for $160 per week with the potential to increase to $500 per week upon exercise of all options. As the first season of the Mickey Mouse Club came to a close, Annette had amassed 6,000 fan letters per month, a testament to her immense popularity during that time. Compared to the other Mouseketeers, this was the most. She dated Lonnie Burr, who was also a Mouseketeer. "I've never cried so hard in my life," she said as she said goodbye to the show's cast. Not only did Annette star in various Mickey Mouse Club shows, but she also appeared in numerous Mouseketeer comedy and dance routines. A few examples of these include Walt Disney Presents, Annette, Spin and Marty serials such as The Further Adventures of Spin and Marty and The New Adventures of Spin and Marty, and Adventure in Dairyland. Annette enjoyed great success as a pop singer and record producer while she was a teenager. Odio Mio, Pineapple Princess, and Tall Paul, First Name Only, are a few of her memorable tracks. She was still working under Disney's contract, appearing in Zorro. It was reportedly Walt Disney's gift to her on her 16th birthday for her role in Zorro. Since Walt Disney admired Teresa Brewer, a popular singer from the 1950s, he attempted to model Annette's voice after hers. However, in order to give Annette a wider sound, her producer, who was a Disney employee at the time, had her double-track her vocals. Annette made her television acting debut in the early 1960s in the English and Italian films The Horse Masters and Escapade in Florence. She and her friend and co-star Frankie Avalon became household names in the mid-1960s because to their roles in the hit beach party genre of films. She counted Frankie Avalon, Sharon Baird, Lonnie Burr, Doreen Tracy, Cheryl Holdridge, and Lonnie Burr, her first lover, among her closest friends. With Tommy Kirk, she was in a relationship with Paul Anka, who penned the hit song Pulley Love about her. Frankie and Annette were just pals off-screen, but the American public loved them as sweethearts in the movies. After going on a single date, the two concluded they would get along better as friends. While working together on the groundbreaking beach party films of the 60s, they formed a strong bond that has lasted to this day. They had starring roles in films such as Beach Blanket Bingo, Muscle Beach Party, and Beach Party. Their connection as innocent, carefree individuals was contagious. He went to Annette's house to collect her when she was 15 and Frankie was 18 or 19 years old. This was their sole outing together, and all they ate was pizza. However, they progressed to become close friends. The beach party films revolved around their playful, flirtatious dynamic. Their relationship was always cordial and platonic, even though many assumed it was more than that. They were very close, almost like siblings, and could discuss anything. Frankie has an easygoing charisma, while Annette was renowned for her kind and genuine personality. Thanks to Walt Disney's influence, Annette also portrayed modesty. Frankie exuded confidence and maturity, while he insisted that she keep up a pure image even in her beach movie parts. They were hailed as the beach movie sweethearts of America. The movies weren't the only thing that brought them together either. Even when their beach film days were over, they remained in touch and spoke highly of one another. In 1987's Back to the Beach, which reunited them for a throwback reunion, they reprised their legendary roles for a new audience. Poking fun at themselves and the era they helped define, they reprised their roles as elder versions of their beach party personalities. Always in sync, Annette and Frankie, no matter how much pressure they were under. He marveled in an interview, saying, "We spent 10, 12, 14 hours a day together and never had a disagreement. She was absolutely a professional." We became such friends that I am godfather to her daughter and her husband is godfather to my oldest son. Many were surprised when they married separate people because of their close friendship. Annette was wed to Jack L. Gilardi from 1965 to 1981. Ginger Portman, Jack Jr., and Jason were their offspring. After that, in 1986, she tied the knot with Glenn D. Holt, a trainer and breeder of harness racing horses from California. In the 80s and 90s, they frequently showed up at harness horse races. Frankie, meantime, tied the knot with beauty pageant queen Catherine K. Diebel as early as 1963. 8 children were born to this couple, whom they met at a friend's house while playing cards. He has frequently referred to her as his first love. In contrast to Avalon's assuredness, Funicello is unsure of herself when it comes to singing. Along with Bobby Rydell and Fabian, he founded the specialized act The Golden Boys, and he continued performing. Even as her health deteriorated, Avalon's unwavering devotion to Funicello shone through as he continued to celebrate their shared history and treasure their cherished memories. Annette and her pal Frankie became famous for their roles in the beloved beach movie genre. This style, which merged elements of surf music, teen romance, and musical comedy, was huge from the 60s until the 80s. Bikini Beach, Beach Blanket Bingo, and Beach Party, all starring this legendary duo, became cultural touchstones because of their contributions to the genre. American International Pictures produced these light-hearted films with infectious pop music and dance numbers that revolved around summer love, adolescent revolt, and beach parties. In the 1960s, when surf culture was all the rage, the genre was at the height of its popularity among young people. Also, the movies had an escape vibe to them. As the counterculture developed throughout the 60s, its allure started to fade. And viewers leaned towards heavier subjects. The beach flicks, however, were classics that never went out of style. The 1987 film Back to the Beach, featuring Frankie and Annette, transported audiences to their favorite eras of cinema. Annette became a teen idol after starring in the first Beach Party movie at the age of 21. Because of the film's success, AIP signed her to a 7-year contract in which she appeared in other beach party flicks. Walt Disney stipulated that she could only wear modest swimsuits and that she had to cover her navel when she was cast in her debut beach film. However, her outfit in the original film was a pink two-piece. A two-piece fishnet suit was her attire in the second picture. Plus, she rocked a bikini in shades of blue and white in the film in question. You could see her navel in close-up views in all 3 of the bikini films, but notably in Bikini Beach, the third one. She co-starred with Tommy Kirk instead of Frankie in 1964's Pajama Patty. Although her friend Frankie had a brief appearance, this was not the official film of the Beach Party. Frankie and Annette had a cameo in Beach Blanket Bingo, though. She co-starred with Kirk in the same year's Merlin Jones, the Monkey's Uncle sequel. The collaboration between Annette and the Beach Boys was a huge success. Not only did AIP produce beach party flicks starring Annette and Frankie, but they also filmed stock car races. They co-starred with Fabian Ford in 1960's Texas Fireball 500. They attempted another stock film, Thunder Alley, without Annette, after the film became very famous. Though she mostly devoted her time to motherhood in the 1970s, Annette did make cameo appearances on television shows as an actress. She co-starred with her pal Frankie in a few of these shows. She and Avalon reunited for a live performance in Back to the Beach. In her subsequent work, Annette maintained her stardom even after production of the Beach pictures had ceased. Dreams or Wishes Made by the Heart, My Story is her autobiography. For the Annette Funicello Collectible Bear Company, she also made a range of teddy bears. In 2004, the final compilation was completed. Cello by Annette was her own perfume line. During the 1987 filming of Back to the Beach, Annette learned some tragic and heartbreaking news about herself. A chronic and debilitating disease that assaults the central nervous system, she felt the first unsettling symptoms of multiple sclerosis. She talked about how she couldn't balance during filming scenes on the beach in a later interview. Frankie would remark, "Look at you," and we would both chuckle about it. "It appears like you've had a few too many drinks." "Frankie, this is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen." She sought medical attention at the first sign of trouble and was diagnosed with the condition. As she was told this devastating news, her husband Glenn accompanied her. "I assured her, I will see to it that you are well and that I will do all in my power." After she received the diagnosis, he would eventually disclose this in an interview, many years later. However, even after confiding in her best friend Frankie, Annette chose to keep the news to herself after getting the diagnosis. She chose to keep her condition a secret and keep acting in the movie and other shows. Until 1992, when she came clean about her ailment, she kept it a secret from her other public pals. Keeping quiet must have been extremely difficult, particularly when her symptoms worsened. Various symptoms might be experienced as a result of multiple sclerosis impact on the central nervous system. Problems with balance and coordination were the first symptoms that Annette experienced, and they became increasingly difficult to hide as time went on. Issues with vision and balance, lethargy, tremors, and weak muscles are among the other symptoms. It's hard to keep up with routines or physically demanding tasks because the symptoms come and go and often emerge suddenly. The energetic and talented Annette was well known for her musical performances and roles as an actress. Her acting career was hindered by these symptoms, which were a bothersome impediment. Being a secretive MS sufferer isn't easy, and Annette had to endure a lot of pain and struggle on top of everything else. It was still tough for Annette to keep performing despite the difficulties and suffering of having multiple sclerosis, since she didn't want people to know. She claimed fear of the unknown on multiple occasions and knew very little about MS. In her quest to understand and manage her multiple sclerosis, she immersed herself in many books. "My equilibrium is no more. It's just progressively getting worse," Annette said in her autobiography from 1994, describing the progressive symptoms of multiple sclerosis. "Thanks be to God, though, I simply did not feel like working one morning." You learn to live with it. You learn to live with anything, you really do. Despite her illness, she remained steadfast in her faith. "I've always been religious." The revelation that things could always be worse has deepened her gratitude for the Lord, who she believes will guide her through this trial. Annette and Frankie reunited for the Back to the Beach sequel, but she kept quiet about her multiple sclerosis diagnosis. Frankie learned about it from her husband, Glenn Holt, just before their live performance tour. In an interview, Frankie remarked, "I never said anything to her, but I knew she was suffering and in pain. She was such a trooper, and we had a good time doing the shows together." By 1992, Annette was forced to come clean about her multiple sclerosis diagnosis after being seen stumbling down the street. Because of the MS, she lost her coordination, which led many to speculate that she was an alcoholic who often drank in public. Therefore, going public was her only option. Her autobiography, A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes, which she published 2 years after becoming public, recounted her struggle with multiple sclerosis and her determination to find a solution. The story was adapted into a television movie in October 1995, coinciding with her 53rd birthday. She had a brief appearance in the film. She confessed in her memoirs, "It's funny, but sometimes when I feel discouraged or have a problem I can't work out, I find myself thinking, if only Mr. Disney were here, he would know what to do." She had tremendous difficulties speaking and lost the ability to read and write as her disease progressed. In her last years, she was wheelchair-bound. As she gradually disappeared from view, many of her admirers continued to fret over her whereabouts. She was fed through a tube and got attention all day, every day. Patients were also transferred back and forth between their beds and wheelchairs. Meanwhile, Glenn, her husband, never lost up hope that she may be cured and kept researching new treatments. Dr. Paolo Zamboni, an Italian vascular surgeon, was one of the potential therapy options he explored. He wished to alleviate patients' venous congestion by using a balloon to expand their veins. Many, however, argued that the treatment was scientifically sound and that the study was too small to warrant confidence in the conclusions. The study problems didn't dampen Glenn's optimism. Her spouse attempted several experimental treatments over the course of 25 years, including surgery to implant electrodes in her brain in an effort to regulate her tremors. After 8 days in the intensive care unit due to one of the experimental medications, Annette still wasn't better. At Tri-City Hospital in Oceanside, California, he attempted a different treatment with Dr. Donald Ponick. Glenn was willing to give his treatment a go despite the lack of evidence that it would be effective. Although she appeared to be improving at the time of therapy, she was ultimately unable to beat multiple sclerosis because there is currently no cure for the disease. After a while, Annette had to retire due to her sickness, but Frankie kept performing in clubs and concerts, often with other great singers. While coping with her sickness, the once bright star kept spending time with her loved ones. Another foundation she established to support research into neurological diseases, including multiple sclerosis, was the Annette Funicello Research Fund for Neurological Disease. Frankie was there for her every step of the way while she built this company. The general populace had adored Annette from the start. Everyone adored her as America's sweetheart when she joined the Mickey Mouse Club at the age of 12, and she was even more beloved when she performed alongside Frankie. Her castmates confirmed that her cheery disposition and endearing charm were present even when the cameras weren't running, further satisfying viewers want to see more of her on film. Since the MS was depleting her energy, she was worried that her followers would no longer adore her. Paul Peterson, one of her friends, said that she was frightened people wouldn't love her if she told them she was sick. However, she did come forward at some point in the hopes that her experience might be an inspiration to those dealing with similar health issues. She was still thoughtful to her friends even though she was sick with a terrible disease. Tommy Cole, another one of her acquaintances, came clean about her back surgery and the year she spent in bed recovering. Even though Annette's illness was progressing rapidly, she managed to phone my wife and cheer her up. She embodied that character trait. She was candid about the fact that dealing with her disease was not always easy for her. "I get down sometimes," she told ET back then. "Today I will not tell you the truth and pretend that it doesn't upset me in the least. You wonder, why me, on sometimes, and it happens. Why me? I have never knowingly caused harm to another person. But there's logic behind it. Every action has a purpose. Perhaps I can be of service to others." As soon as she accepted her disease, she spoke frankly about its impact. She finally felt comfortable enough to request a wheelchair, she remarked. "Another advantage. So, you look for the silver linings, you'll find them in everything." Annette succumbed to difficulties related to multiple sclerosis by April 8, 2013, at the age of 70. After 25 years of fighting the disease, she passed away quietly. Her spouse and offspring will carry on her legacy. Upon learning of his best friend Annette's passing, Frankie was surely shocked and grieving. "The United States has lost one of its beloved figures for many generations," he stated in his statement. "I count it among my blessings to have known Annette and worked with her on numerous occasions. No one will ever forget her. Both she and the world will feel her absence." He, too, was relieved that her MS symptoms had finally subsided. The influence of 1950s and 1960s teen icon Frankie Avalon extends far beyond the realms of music and movies. Avalon encapsulated a generation with his innocent charisma and popular songs like Venus and Why, as well as his main part in the legendary Beach Party films co-starring Annette Funicello. He got his start in the music industry, but he swiftly became famous for his roles in films. The carefree spirit and surfing culture portrayed in beach movies made them a cultural phenomenon that will live on in popular culture. Avalon kept making movie and TV appearances, typically playing the part of his legendary beach character in cameos that harken back to his youth. Frankie Avalon is now active in the music industry. In addition to his home shopping network and website, he runs a business selling health and cosmetics. Even though she is 83 years old, Avalon is still performing all over the nation. Plus, he made an appearance on Dancing with the Stars. His impact on music, cinema, and popular culture is substantial due to his status as a prominent pop teen idol. Even now, Frankie Avalon is very much a part of the entertainment industry, touring the US for concerts. Attracting both longtime listeners and newcomers, his concerts frequently comprise a combination of his greatest songs, career highlights, and memorials to the past. On occasion, he teams up with other famous people from his time, taking part in tours honoring the music of the 50s and 60s, and he keeps a friendly relationship with his admirers. As an entrepreneur, Avalon has dabbled alongside his musical career. His new line of cookware, Avalon Italian, is a reflection of his love of Italian cuisine and his family, which he started a few years ago. Avalon's capacity to stay relevant while staying true to himself has allowed him to have a long and fruitful career. He is defined by his unwavering dedication to his work, his followers, and the legacy of his family. He represents a bygone, more carefree time in show business for a lot of people. Avalon maintains his status as one of the first teen idols to influence popular culture by maintaining ties to his past while adapting to the present.